Hi, it's Larry here of Xbox's Major Nelson. Welcome to the Xbox Podcast. It's another week. We took last week off, but I'm very excited because we're going to go here. I'm going to hit the button because usually I go like this, and we'll bring Jeff in. Here we go. And oh, whoa, we've upgraded. Da, 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 Charlie.
It's me. I'm Jeff.
I'll tell you, you are. It's great to see you, Charlie from Xbox UK. Charlie Upson. It's lovely to have you on the show. I'm so glad you're here.
It's so lovely to see you too, Larry. We've not seen each other in so long. I feel like I needed this just to catch up with you.
Well, I tell you, you and I have done a lot of shows together from, before the world caved in, right? And it's been so great to be able to, you and I have exchanged emails, and you're working on some great things over there in the UK. And, one of the things you started, we'll talk about in just a minute, is this Xbox UK Women in Xbox podcast, which is, I think you're doing like 6 or 8 episodes, and we're going to talk about that.
8 episodes, season 1.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what you're playing. How are things in the UK? Like I say, we haven't seen each other since last year, a year and a half ago.
It was Exo 19 in the UK was the last time we saw each other.
Yeah, and with those, we're doing the shows, and it's kind of like, hey, the thing, I don't know if you find this, but when you're doing those shows like that or Gamescom, you never know when the last time you'll see somebody is, right? Because you're just always running in 7 different directions, and that's one of my regrets is I didn't say goodbye. Not that I'm leaving, but just that when we took this year and a half or 2-year hiatus, we just didn't get to say a proper goodbye. So
it's one of those interesting things where, like, so many people I know in the industry, we always say industry events are the best because you get to hang out and see people who you only really talk to on Twitter. But we always see each other in passing because we always forget that we work at these events. And as you say, it's a quick hi, you run past them, and then suddenly the next time you talk to each other is, remember when we spoke to each other IRL, and now we're on the internet again. So yeah, making more time to actually spend time with people is definitely something I've learned sitting inside for the past 12 months.
The other thing is we've, when we go do these Inside Xbox events or any of the videos, sometimes we don't know that, oh, I get to do this interview with Charlie and whoever the developer is. They kind of just figure out how they match us up. So we sit
just
there,
turn up.
We just turn up, and I'm like, oh, I get to work with you. So I when you guys were doing the great work over there in the UK for the podcast, I was like, Jeff's on vacation this week, and he's so dedicated to the show. He did one of the interviews that we'll talk about later on.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, so he did that. But I wanted to get you on to tell us a little bit about the podcast series that you're doing with the women in Xbox. Tell us about it and where they find it.
Okay, so, I'm going to give you the long story of this because I think it's really important to call out along the way the many people who I spoke to help make this happen. It started off last summer. I was having a phone call where we were like, International Women's Day is coming up. We want to do something important for it, something impactful. And I remember somebody, I won't name who they are because I also can't remember who it was, who said, oh, well, why don't we do a giveaway? We've got the new Series X console coming out. We could do a really big giveaway. And I just went, you know what? It's not doing anything. Yeah. Women are not going to see a console giveaway and go, wow, I feel empowered to join the industry. I have an 8-year-old. Like, that's not going to make her want to do anything. I know she wants to be in the games industry, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't tangible. No one could learn anything from it. So I said, you know what? Why don't we do something that
it felt fake because you're just giving a console away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
opportunistic.
Like slacktivism and all that sort of stuff. And very performative. So I sort of stepped back and I said, we need to do something in which the KPIs aren't, reach and views, but instead learning.
Some people don't know what KPIs are. Explain.
Right, I'm getting all businessy. Okay, so it's oh God, what does it mean? I've said it for so long, I don't even know what it means.
Key
it's
performance indicator.
That's it, which I will translate into dummy language, which basically means what you want to get out of something that you do. So if you do something on social media, you might want it to reach millions of people. If you make a video, you might want it to get millions of views, etc. And for me, I didn't want to do something that had any of those as our KPIs. What I wanted was something that someone might reference offhand and like an interview that I would never be in, or in maybe a podcast with you in 3 years' time ago. You know what? I listened to this podcast called the Women of Xbox UK podcast, and they said to do this in my CV and to go to these spaces and stuff. And that's what I really wanted to create. Exactly. CV. You're just going to translate me this whole time, aren't you? So yeah, that was the concept. And we decided the best format to do that in was a podcast because, video series happen all the time. But I couldn't remember Xbox ever making a podcast, outside of yourself. So I thought, let's see if we can piggyback on Larry's success and do something else here.
Well, you haven't, and you've had. Tell us about the guests you've had. First of all, where do they find it?
Okay, so you can find it on the Microsoft UK YouTube page, is the visual version of the podcast where you'll see both myself, my guest, and, you know, any videos or trailers that we're talking about as we go through.
Just like this show.
If you want, yeah, absolutely. But if you want the audio experience, for example, I love listening to audio podcasts when I commute, or commuted, I should say.
So were you commuting from your bedroom to this room, or from the kitchen?
Yeah, I'm listening for every 30 seconds. I'm moving rooms in my house. I just catch a little snippet. You can find it on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts are hubs for them. But yeah, it's been a real learning experience. It's been one of like the biggest campaigns I've worked on, being at the very forefront of the idea and then reaching out to everyone. I tell you what, it's been very exciting just getting to know other people in the business, because traditionally my job is social. I run the social channels on Xbox UK and Ireland, in addition to working with, hosting, figuring out strategy with Xbox On over on Twitch and on YouTube. So this was me doing something completely different. This was production, this was social impact, this was social good, talking to loads of different teams. And yeah, it's been thrilling. And the fact they trust me to host it too, Larry,
is you do a great job.
Mind-blowing. Oh, I just love it.
Don't you feel that way sometimes? You're hosting a show and you're like, really? There's not any person better to do this?
There are so many phenomenal like hosts and the people in the industry that I could have pulled off immediately to say they should do this, and someone just went, "How about you do it?" And I was like, "Well, if you don't mind, I mean, I'll do it."
But you've had some great guests. Tell us who you have had already and who you've got kind of lined up for the future.
Okay, so first episode was with Louise O'Connor from Rare, executive producer on
Love
Everwild. Yeah, she is just a ball of energy. I adore her. And the reason we had her on the first episode was because she was already working on the Women of Xbox UK, like a larger volunteer group where they actually work on mentorships. They have a couple videos out, and I basically went to them and said, I want to do this, but I've got some money and I got some production behind it. So let's go
have
big.
KPIs.
And Louise, God, all the KPIs, Larry. So we had her on the first episode to introduce the work that she's done with that group, in addition to setting up the whole series. Episode 2 was with Lydia Winters, who is the chief storyteller at Mojang.
I know Lydia. She's been there about 10 years, hasn't she?
Oh, she's right. Here's a fun fact for anyone who hasn't listened to the podcast. These are the fun little snippets you get. She was the first woman to ever work on Minecraft. She was also the first non-Swede to work on Minecraft, and has been with the game ever since.
And discusses branding at length with her parents.
Absolutely, in pink wigs, nonetheless.
I don't know how to translate that.
Nope.
That's it. And then who do you move? Those are the ones that are available now. But moving forward, you've got quite a guest list for the next few episodes. Tell us who they are for season 1.
Oh boy, do we? Yeah, next week. This comes out Friday, right?
From when we're talking. Have this on Friday. Yeah. So this will be next week.
There you go. So next Wednesday is the word I need to use there, is going to be Jen Panettone, who is the lead of Social Good at
I know
Xbox.
Jen very well. She's great.
She is superb. We have Shannon Loftus from World's Edge coming up.
Also great. In fact, speaking of World's Edge, later on you're going to interview Adam Isgreen from World's Edge. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
I know. I honestly, I'm living in a fangirls world at the moment, talking to all these people from World's Edge. They don't know what they've let themselves into with me.
Yeah. And then who else after Shannon? Who do you have?
After Shannon, we got Sarah Bond is on the list coming up.
So good. I've been trying to get her on this show. She's doing your show. I'm trying to get her on this show.
I know. How absolutely dare I? We also have Kiki Wolfkill coming up.
Also great, from 343.
She's going to be episode 6. I'm just checking out. There we go. Honestly, there's so many names. Yes, there we go. Episode 4 is going to be with Haiyan Zhang, the chief of staff at Xbox, who, I mean, I've spoke to her already, and let me tell you, some of the things she has done in her career, I could do a whole series on. She is...
So Haiyan she works with Phil Spencer, and she used to work for Microsoft Research. And you're going to hear these stories. You have to listen. I mean, you're right. So she's lived 10 lives. She makes me feel like an underachiever, right? You're like, oh, what am I doing?
I feel like I'm just going to be sat in the corner of this podcast episode while she's talking, just going, whoa, yeah. I just feel like I'm a fan talking to her, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, you got some great folks lined up. Good for you.
Yeah. The one I haven't mentioned, which I absolutely must, because I feel like this is going to be one of my favorite episodes. We've scheduled this to come out during June, which is a really important month for me during conversations because that is Pride Month,
Yep.
globally. And we have Katie Jo Wright, the director from Gaming for Everyone, joining us for a special Pride and Everyone episode. And my God, I cannot wait.
This is, and it's just to give you an idea of how what a family Xbox is. I know Katie Jo. I've known her for many years. Her sister was one of the very first people I met when I worked at Microsoft. They both work at Microsoft.
Wow.
They are just an amazing, amazing family. So you are gonna love her. They are fantastic. So great.
And
Great.
that's just series one. And like one of the things I really wanted to do when we set this up was, we wanted to go out with a bang and have a first series with like some of the most impactful, legendary women in the industry. But what I really want to do going forward is like, I envision episodes where we're talking to animators and talking to Foley artists and community managers,
Sure.
PR, HR, everything. I want to go to all depths of the games industry because people don't just want to be like studio leads or coders. They might want to be animators or voice artists. And I just want to speak to everyone and get their opinions,
Well, that's the point that I always like to bring up, and I've done for years on this podcast, is like, hey, just because you're not a developer doesn't mean it can't be a role for you in the games industry. There's people that, as you just said, the audio folks or HR or any type of engineer or writers, clearly. So there's so many disciplines in the games that it covers now that it's pretty impressive. So good
and
for
this
you.
is a mentality I had growing up. I always knew I wanted to go into video games, and I quickly realized that coding just went straight over my head, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went, right, what am I good at? And I went to university here in lovely old England, in Bournemouth, if anyone knows it. And I went and studied English language, and I went, I'm going to be a video game journalist or a writer or something. Right. And something happened along the way, and now I'm a community manager and I run events and social media, but I'm not complaining.
You're using those language skills. Thank you for that. And I like I say, I'll put a link down below on how people can listen to the podcast. Some of those episodes you heard are already available. The other ones are upcoming. So it's about every other week when you drop a new one, correct?
Yes, that's the one. Every other Wednesday they come out.
Good for you. Well, congratulations. But we're going to get you on the show because, like I said, Jeff's out of town. And I looked around. I said, what am I going to do? Do we do a show? And then I said, let's get Charlie on because you've got these great projects you're working on and I haven't seen you in forever. What are you playing, by the way? What are you playing right now?
Larry, can I tell you something that's really embarrassing about what I'm playing at the moment?
Please do.
You won't laugh, right?
No.
I haven't played Halo before.
Oh.
So I'm playing through all of the Halo games at the moment. We've done, in this order, we've done Reach, Combat Evolved, 2, ODST. Last night I started 3. Then we're going to do 4 and 5. I'll probably have to do Reach again. Now I understand what's going on. And then fingers crossed I'll be all ready for Infinite.
That's not embarrassing at all. There's, I actually kind of jealous because, when I played the original Halo, for instance, that was on the original Xbox back in 2020 years ago. And now you get to play it with the remastered version. It
is stunning. I've been swapping through the buttons so you can see the old visuals and the remaster because of the Master Chief Collection, and it looks like a movie. Some of the remasters that they've done, but also I love seeing how it looked before because that was what. That was the original game that got people hooked on Halo, and I think I love that they kept that in there.
Do you know, if I recall correctly, I remember when they added that feature into Halo Combat Evolved, and I don't know if this is true through all the series, is that when you've got, so what Charlie's talking about is when you play the Master Chief Collection, there's, I think at the view button, you can switch back and forth between the original graphics and the remastered or the up-resed or the whatever they're calling it now. And if I recall correctly, I remember the engineers telling me that the console is so powerful, it is actually running 2 simultaneous versions of the game. Yeah. So when you
can literally just press the button and it will switch. Like at any point during a cutscene,
right,
or gameplay, you can just switch back and forth. It is so good.
So there's so much engineering going on in here. Is that, hey, let's just run another version. We'll run the old version and the new version, and then the player can dynamically swap back or not even swap back and forth at all. They'll just stay in one or the other, right? It's entirely up to them. But so I'm slightly jealous because you get to experience it in a way that, certainly my mind remembers it a different way, but it's good for you. I'm excited for you. That's going to be great.
I'm loving it, and I'm streaming it as well. And so the thing that's
is
really
this the
nice
plug section of the show?
No, you know what? I was actually going to say I'm not going to plug my stream because I don't think any respectful listeners of your podcast should come watch my stream. But what I will say is because of my affiliation with Xbox and Xbox On, is a lot of people who do watch my streams are huge Xbox fans.
Sure.
And to them, they are reliving all of the Halos again. And I'm seeing like the Jackal snipers at the start of Halo 3 and the moments with like realizing it's Nathan Fillion and ODST, and all of them are just like, oh, I remember this bit, or I really want to play this again. And I am feeling this like warmth from people I've known for years come out because they've got Halo in front of them, and it's opening my eyes really to like I've worked at Xbox for 4 years. I've known Halo is the game, the granddaddy, but now I get it and I love it.
Right. Well, that's exciting. Well, good for you. Yeah, I was out last week, so I really haven't had a chance to play too much. Playing a lot of cloud gaming. We're doing some Sea of Thieves on the cloud, which is fun. But yeah, we've got a busy week going up. We've got some great interviews, and I want to get into those because you and I have been chatting for quite some time here. Not that I don't love it. By the way, thank you for joining the show this week. I mean, I know it's a little bit. Jeff and I usually record around noon our time, so we're usually getting hungry for lunch. It's much later your time because you're over in the UK. So thank you for letting me barge into your family hours.
It's fine. It just means I have to delay playing Outriders by an hour or two. It's absolutely fine.
But we've got 2 interviews this week now. Jeff was, he's on holiday this week, as you all say in the UK. He's on holiday, but we wanted to do this interview for MLB, which is a huge game finally on Xbox. It's the most. I don't know if you've seen this or if I can add this in. Well, let's vamp for a minute, Charlie. I want to see if I can add this in because this video is. Where is it? It is, yeah, here it is.
I remember everyone getting really excited about this when it was announced, and I will plead my UK ignorance here. I don't really get it, but it's another one of those things where I could see the impact that MLB was having on Xbox fans, especially with it being Game Pass as well.
Right. Well, this is what a lot of people. Hold on a second. Let me back up because this part is people just like, hold on a second. Pause. Why am I? Here we go. Is that when you saw the trailer for MLB, first of all, it's coming to Game Pass too, which is a whole other conversation. But it's the Xbox logo and PlayStation Studios, right? People are like, wait,
you love to see.
Wait, what? Let's play that again, shall we? Xbox logo.
Go on, let's have a look.
I need to turn that into.
Stand next to each other, being all lush. Love it.
So it's a great thing. So yeah, it's interesting because MLB doesn't really, baseball isn't really a driving force over there in the UK, in many parts of the world. It isn't like in Japan and some other areas in Korea.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
But in the UK, it's not so much. So maybe I should have gotten somebody on from Asia, Charlie. Maybe I should boot you off.
Yeah, but then it's one of those things where like there's absolutely like a niche for it here. They've started to bring American football over. I remember they do some matches in like the big London
NFL,
stadiums.
Yeah.
That's it, yes. And like there was just a pocket of UK people who were just absolutely nutty for it. So yeah, I think it's great.
Is there anything more American than watching American football? These just pounding their heads together. And anyway, it's but anyway, MLB the show. Jeff. So I dialed Jeff in from wherever he was on holiday to do that, and then Charlie, we're gonna follow up right after that. You, my friend, got to talk to Adam Green that for about World's Edge. Let's give it like 10-second preview of that.
Oh God, I'm so excited. We basically just talked about Age 4, new gameplay coming up. We spoke a lot about elephants, and it didn't make it into the recording, but afterwards I fangirled because I found out that he also worked on Command & Conquer. So all in all, an amazing guy, an amazing game. That was longer than 10 seconds. I'll stop.
But what did make it, and you and I made an editorial decision that we decided to leave the beginning of his interview, and we're not going to tell you what it is. We decided to leave that in. So let's go ahead. We'll talk about MLB the show first and follow up with the World's Edge and the Age of Empires news. Here we go.
That's right, Larry, Charlie. I'm on vacation mode, but this is something I couldn't miss. I'm just gonna take these. I'm gonna put those aside for now. It's baseball time. Can you believe it? Jaws dropped last year when it was announced that MLB the show was coming to Xbox. And here we are. Opening day has recently passed. Digital opening day is here upon us now. You may have heard of the show, but what makes it such a big deal? Well, that's why I am very humbled and honored to be welcoming Ramon Russell, the product development, communications, and brand strategist at Sony San Diego Studio and a friend. Ramon, welcome to the Xbox Podcast.
Oh, man, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, this moment is just so awesome. I'm just very, worlds colliding here, but in just the best
Worlds
possible way.
definitely colliding. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the show opening day for Xbox fans, and when that trailer dropped recently showing the first Xbox Series X gameplay, it was sort of mind blowing to me to see the video start. First there was the Xbox logo, then PlayStation Studios and San Diego Studios after that, and then jumping into this footage. So for Xbox fans who have not had the pleasure of playing the show, you're getting over a dozen years of baseball sim building experience by San Diego Studio. So, Ramon, can you talk a little bit about what sets the franchise apart in terms of realism and quality?
Sure, I think you kind of hit on it. We've been making baseball games here at the San Diego studio for over 15 years. It's what we do every single year, year in and year out. And our whole development team, we're all baseball fans. We're all very passionate baseball fans, and we take a lot of pride in our product. And so over those 15 years, we think we've came to a position where we make one of the best, deepest, most exciting games that you can play at any time during the year. And we're just so excited and happy to be opening up this baseball game to the Xbox family. And we're not only opening it up to the Xbox family, but we also have cross-platform play and cross-progression as well. So Xbox fans can play against the PlayStation fans and vice versa. And if you happen to own both systems, you can take your progression across all systems. It's really seamless, and we're really excited about being able to include those features.
And I think gamers are going to be very excited to hear the magic words. People love to hear that. So for those Xbox fans who maybe are more used to playing like arcadey type of baseball games, now that they've got the show, it's a deeper sim. How do you onboard those players to get used to the way the show works?
Right. Great question. So when you download MLB The Show for the first time on an Xbox, we're going to ask you a few questions. And just make sure you say, I'm a beginner and I want to start on casual mode. If you do those two things, it's going to open up our entire onboarding process. And so what we do now, and we've been thinking about this for a while, we're going to throw you into a game, and the whole focus of the game will be for us to teach you how to play MLB The Show and some of the more nuanced things about a baseball and just baseball in general. So we run you through all of the different ways that you can play the game. We let you try them out automatically. You don't have to do anything. And then as you continue playing, you'll continue to unlock more and more onboarding. So we'll teach you how to pitch, how to hit, how to field, other nuanced things. And then eventually you can turn all of those things off, or you can keep them on. And specifically with MLB The Show 21, we've added so many new on-field aids to basically help people understand what's going on. So we have a base for play icon. So if the ball's hit in play, we'll say, hey, you need to throw it to this base. We have a route to ball indicator, which says, hey, here's the straight line you need to take to be able to play this ball perfectly. So there's a lot of things in onboarding on beginner mode and casual mode that will help any veteran or any person who has never played MLB The Show understand baseball and MLB The Show better.
Yeah, don't come in there and say, no, I'm great. I know all my stuff. If you've never played before, there's no harm. There's no dishonor in choosing beginner mode to get your feet wet and then move your way up, to the show. So this isn't just the first time the show is going to appear on Xbox, but this is a generational jump. And in my opinion, sports games, those are always the first things I love to pop into. When I'm showing off a new console at a new generation, because the visuals always look amazing. So talk about how San Diego Studio is leveraging Xbox Series X and Series S and really making it shine, because it looks amazing. Look at this footage here right now.
Right, moving on to next gen, it's finally allowed us to do the most requested feature ever in the history of our franchise, which is Stadium Creator. We've been working on it for quite a while now. I've been thinking about it for about 5 or 7 years, doing some prototyping. We've been actively in development on this feature for over 2 years, and it's finally coming to next-gen consoles. And it's something that was also just not possible on the previous console. So Stadium Creator is a next-gen only feature. Past that, we've got 60 frames per second locked gameplay. Gameplay is buttery smooth. We've also updated all of our textures on our uniforms, up-resed our faces, and all the audio in the game, every single audio file is now at a higher bit rate, and that's thanks in part to the added horsepower of the new next generation consoles.
Yeah, I've been watching this video. You had put out video of the Stadium Creator pretty recently, and it's pretty wild to see all the sort of fictional things that you can add to a stadium. And I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time with that particular mode. So let's talk more about modes. I think people coming in that maybe are familiar with sports games, but maybe not the show. Sure, they expect things like franchise mode, playing a single game, playing against friends. But there's other names that I've heard over time, like Road to the Show or Diamond Dynasty. Can you tell us about sort of the full package that you get with MLB The Show?
Yeah, we're gonna actually pause here for a second, Ramon, because I noticed your video has frozen completely for us, and so I'm gonna ask you. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe your browser, but if you can just go ahead and disconnect and redial in, and we'll do a quick pickup, Jeff, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait here. Yeah, Joella, thank you for calling that out. It was I noticed that as well. That's why I was trying to cover with gameplay. Usually when it does that, he comes back in, but here he comes back in now. Stand by. There he is. Hello, my friend.
Never happened before.
All right. So, Jeff, do you want to pick up with that question, and we'll just continue on here?
Sure.
Okay, stand by.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anytime you're ready.
Okay.
Whoa, did it happen again?
It did happen again.
Your audio is fine, but for some reason the video keeps...
That's weird, because I use this program all the time, and that has never happened. Okay, let me dial back in again.
All right, we'll be here. Yeah, I see Jeff while he's dialing back in. I brought up the Stadium Creator, when he was doing that, when he talked about that.
Yeah, I saw all of it. I've got it open in another window.
Great.
So that actually was really perfectly done. See, Ramona's back.
And he's moving.
I'm moving.
All right, let's hope that.
Hopefully it doesn't stop.
All right,
You've
here we go.
always been very calm and cool, and I mean, sometimes you just don't even see him move. All right, here we go.
Okay, stand by. Just putting the slate up there. Anytime you're ready, go ahead.
And 3, 2. Okay, let's talk modes. In addition to Stadium Creator, it just looks amazing. I know I'm going to be spending a lot of time with that. If you're just coming into the show, I'm sure you're expecting, as a sports fan, things like franchise mode, playing online, exhibitions, things like that. But over time, there's modes that I've been hearing about with MLB, like Road to the Show, Diamond Dynasty. Can you talk a little bit about those and sort of everything that encompasses the MLB The Show package?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it. You know, as with any sports games, we have exhibition where you can just play a random game. We have a season mode, but we also have a few really interesting modes. The first one, as you alluded to, Jeff, is called Road to the Show. Baseball is a very unique sport, and what's really unique about baseball is what happens when you get drafted. You just don't start in the majors. You actually have to start, at AA and AAA and work your way up and earn that spot to play for a major league team. And so we have a mode in the game that mimics that, where you start out in the minors and you're trying to become the best player you can to eventually make it to the majors. And we've done a lot of work over this mode over the last 15 years, and it's changing a lot this year with the addition of being able to be a two-way player like Mr. Ohtani, where you're pitching and hitting. We also have franchise mode, like you mentioned. We also have a mode called March to October. Baseball is a very, very long season. And with March to October, you only play a handful of games, but the impact on what happens in those games impacts what happens in the games that you don't play. So you can get to the end of the season in March to October in about 12 to 15 hours. And baseball is a game. I mean, it's a 160 plus game season, and not everybody has a lot of the time. So March to October is a great way to experience a franchise mode like game setting, but you can do it in a lot quicker amount of time. And the last mode you mentioned was Diamond Dynasty. Diamond Dynasty is our fantasy baseball mode, where you're basically trying to collect all the baseball cards you can and field the best team you can and basically climb the leaderboards, or just collect all of the cards. And we have interesting ways to play Diamond Dynasty with like programs and missions that allows you to unlock a ton of content for the game. And all you have to do is play the game. We call it Grind 99. You want a card, you see something you like, just play the game, and there's a way for you to obtain it.
I love to hear that. So let's talk about your cover athlete. You're based in San Diego, of course, and on the cover, Fernando Tatis Jr. from the Padres. What was it like putting like sort of a hometown guy on the cover? And I'm sure you got to meet him and do mocap and all that cool stuff.
It was great. I mean, it was a little weird because of everything that happened last year, but baseball is getting younger, more youthful, more exuberant. This new crop of players are not afraid to show their emotion and passion for the game. And we think Fernando Tatis Jr. really exemplifies that of where baseball is going. It's a young man's game. And these young kids they're so good at the game, and they let you know it, and they let their emotions show. And that's what we think people want to see in baseball, is being able to really see the personalities from our superstars.
All right, last question, perhaps the most important. As we record this, Phillies are top of the NL East, safe against the Braves yesterday. I don't think that can be debated at all. So you're the look. I don't make the calls here. I just live with them, especially when they go in my direction. So, but you all are the experts. So how do you see the Phillies? How do you see the World Series shaping up this year? Who do you think in the AL and NL are going to make it to the final?
It's going to be
series?
Interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a team that has to be dealt with. New York's going to be another hard out. The Phillies are playing great. I think you're going to see a lot of the same teams that made it to the playoffs last year make it to the playoffs again, and then they're just going to have to fight it out. Who I see coming out, I don't know. The Dodgers are still a monster. I think they're going to be really hard to beat in the series, and I also think the Padres are going to be really hard to beat in the series. So we're just excited to have baseball back and can't wait to see how it all shakes out.
And that's the best part about April baseball is everyone feels
everybody's
like
in it. Everybody's
got a chance. Exactly. So Ramon Russell, thank you so much. MLB The Show, the Jackie Robinson edition and the digital deluxe editions, they're out now. So you can play those. And if you've got the standard edition coming up real soon, Tuesday, 4/20, we'll be playing that. So thank you so much for joining us. And I just got to say, as a representative of Team Xbox, it's great to have the show on Xbox.
Feels good to be on Xbox too. Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.
Of course. Major Nelson, I'm back on vacation mode. You can take it from here.
I am joined with Adam Eisgreen, the studio creative director from World's Edge. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing very well, Charlie. How are you today?
Oh, I am excellent, and all the more so for talking to you. I mean, age has been a big part of my sort of gaming history for many years, and with the preview that's just happened, I could not be more excited to talk to you right now. So I'm actually going to dive into my first question, which is
oh my goodness. Well, as you know, like doing things from home means that sometimes children miraculously appear.
I've got this one, Dad. I'll field this question.
I have all my stuffies off the bed, even though.
Okay, you got your stuffies off the bed.
And I also have all my.
And now you get the dog.
And I have all my stuffies in my closet, also on the ground, because I want to have stuffy battle with you after your meeting.
Okay, well, let me do my meeting, and then we can have a stuffy battle later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have every stuffy on the floor. Even
Yeah, see, we have stuffy battles here at our house. All right,
I love that.
Well,
No.
out with you, Munchkin.
No.
Want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi there.
All right, Sienna. Well, I got to do my meeting. Okay. You can mess up my Rubik's Cube later.
No.
Oh, kids.
All right, come on.
I have one that's turning 9 next week, and she is the same energy. Yeah, absolutely. We don't have the dog, and we don't have stuffy battles, but she's constantly like YouTube this, Roblox that. She's running to Torchlight 3 at the moment, which
really? I haven't played.
Yeah,
I've heard that one's okay for the Torchlight series. I haven't played a lot of it. Yeah, she's
Torchlight
5.
2 was my favorite, but 3 is a great jumping in point for her because we played a lot of Minecraft Dungeons. So
oh yeah, that's a super fun one in the kids love
Absolutely.
playing that one in our house too. Okay, sweetie, I got to do my meeting.
Brother.
Okay, no, brother's upstairs. I'll see you later.
brother.
Yeah, my kids are complete opposites too. My son and my daughter are just like polar opposites. But yeah, that happens about once a day. Just to let you know.
Perfect.
I apologize.
Lovely. Well, it's all good. Feel free if she wants to come back in to answer any questions. Then I'm all
sure.
ears. Happy to talk to her about the franchise.
We can pull her in. She would have a lot to say.
Perfect. Okay, so returning to question number one, then, and we'll see what goes from there. So, firstly, I want to know more about the new civilizations that you revealed. In specific, I do have my eyes on the Delhi elephants, as I imagine most people do.
So the elephants are a funny story. When we first started talking about what we were going to do with Age of Empires 4 and where we were going to set it, I'm a huge fan of the other Age of Empires games, and especially the Persians and their elephants in Age 2. And one of the things that I had asked once we kind of arrived on the time period was like, look, if the time period allows it for what you guys want to do with history, because I didn't want to dictate any of the civilizations that would be in the game, because we wanted to look and try to take a more broad approach as to, what civilizations we're going to offer in this as we launched Age 4. And I was like, look, if the time period allows it, I would love to have a Civ with elephants. Can we please do a Civ with elephants? And this time around, the really great thing with the Sultan is they actually, in previous Age games, there's only one elephant. We actually have two types of elephants now on the Delhi Sultanate Civ. They have war elephants and tower war elephants, and both of them have very different roles. And they're great. I mean, the Sultanate is an incredible civilization in that they have a lot of very different ways of researching technologies, and they play a little differently. You have to be in a different mindset when you're playing as them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you will start playing and then you'll be like, oh wait, I'm playing these guys. I need to think differently. But the thing that I love about them is that they're a civ that can really kind of defend themselves and until they get elephants. There's like this, the Sultanate's cool until the elephants, and then they just kind of take over and rampage across the board. And they're very hard to stop when you have a good mass of elephants backed up by troops. So yeah, they've been a delight to work with and really explore the nuances. It brings a lot of difference to the battle when you rally around the elephants as like a centerpiece.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I imagine. I mean, this is coming from someone who back in the day, you're putting like, the cars in the game with the machine guns or the lasers on, and everyone rallies around that. I'm just really keen to see, more large mobile vehicles sort of in the game that you're letting us use.
Yeah, I mean, it is literally the tank of the Middle Ages, right? There was nothing like it.
I love that.
The reason they were so terrifying is so many of these other cultures that were attacked by civilizations with elephants had never even seen them before. So they didn't even know what they were looking at, right? It's just an incredible thing in history that we were really fortunate too, that one of the animators that worked on them is Indian, and his uncle has elephants. And so he was just, believe it or not, one of the animators at Relic. That he was like, oh yeah, elephants. Yeah, no, that's no problem. Like, I've been around elephants my whole life.
For one. What?
Yeah.
That's amazing. It also it gives me this idea of when I play, I'm absolutely going to role play when the Oliphants come in Lord of the Rings, and I'm just going to do that fight.
Oh yeah, epic. This epic battles with them. But yeah, they're great at taking down, as you can see in the footage, they're great at taking down walls, they're great at taking down buildings. And then the tower war elephants are great at covering infantry and just providing like a really big kind of like shield for your troops. So yeah, it's a great combination and really fun to play, and really sad when they die. I mean, you kind of hurts. It really does.
I'm not thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's even, I mean, all the units now, because we've imbued a lot more personality and humanity into the units. So when you lose them now, you feel it a lot more, which means
something. Yeah, they're not just cannon fodder.
Yeah.
I love that. So as well as the elephants, you also revealed the new Norman campaign, one of the 4 new playable campaigns coming in Age 4. Can you tell us what makes this particular campaign so special?
Well, I mean, the Norman invasion basically changed all of England, which is where, our language and everything else came from. And so many things flowed out of that change that we thought it was a really great piece to start with when we were talking about the campaigns that we were going to do in Age 4. One of the things we really loved about it too is the approach that we've taken to history in Age 4 is very different than anything we've done before in a previous Age game. But it's also, I made a lot of RTS games in the past, and I've never seen a game do what we're doing with the story and with the campaigns. And part of that is because we have history as our backdrop. And man, I mean, there are not a lot of other games that can say that, but it's also the approach we've taken to try to, this is going to sound funny, but what I like to call it internally is humanized history. And what I mean by that is like, how do I get someone today to connect with history that happened 500 plus years ago, right? How can we bring those two together? And we did a lot of talks. We're really inspired by, Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and even Top Gear, right? In how it took car culture and just made it this thing that was so accessible. And we wanted to do the same thing with history. And so the campaigns are a great way to experience that, where you're kind of narrated. It's interesting. So, like here we have one of the first missions in the Norman campaign. And it's fascinating because, you're narrated. So you'll hear things like, Harold knew he would need to gather wood in order to build up his defenses. And then you'll hear it, then your objective will appear, like gather 500 wood or whatever it happens to be. And so you get to play as history, and it's a very, very different approach. And
what a concept.
we were really, we were super nervous about it when we did it, and we were like, is this going to work? Like, are people going to like this? It's so different. And fortunately, everyone we've put it in front of so far has just been like, wow, I can't believe what you've done. This is like I'm playing a BBC documentary, but it's more engaging, and I feel like I'm connected. And I love, you probably saw in the footage, we've got scenes of the real world with these golden light buildings and soldiers projected over them. And to me, I love that kind of stuff because it's like, hey, here's present day, but this is what it used to be like. And there was, by the way, did you know, if you happen to live outside this town, that there was a massive battle that decided the fate of England right outside of your, right outside of your townhome? And that's crazy to think about, right? Like all the things that have transpired, especially in Europe and Asia, and what they've meant for human civilization. So it's super fun to be able to do that and kind of present the campaigns in that way.
Yeah, I mean, you guys aren't strangers to putting new things in each of the new Age games as they come along, and we saw plenty in this. We have the 6-minute peek at like exclusive Age 4 gameplay, and I was wondering if there are any other gameplay mechanics players can expect to tackle when it's their turn to have a go on the battlefield.
Oh man, I mean, we've done a lot of what we wanted to do is really preserve what was great about Age of Empires. We didn't want to break Age of Empires. It would be very easy to take it in a different direction and turn it into a different game. yeah, like that's important.
Yes.
I think the things we wanted to do is we looked for avenues where we could say, hey, where could we improve this, or where could we make this more interesting or realistic to medieval times in terms of how battles were fought and things that were important. And so things like, improving siege combat and having battles on walls was super important to us. It was like, oh, this is cool. And we can have units. Now you can siege walls, you can fight on the walls, you can hold the top of walls.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks walls are great until somebody else gets on top of your walls, and then they're just raining down arrows and everything onto your troops.
I was going to say, that changes
like, oh, crap.
everything for my gameplay style. I'm very much someone who like turtles themselves in, and then I will build watchtowers all along the inside, and then I will use that to like sort of fend myself. But yeah, now knowing that my walls can be used against me will absolutely make me change the way I play.
Oh yeah, and there's great fortifications you can put on the walls as well as behind them. So you have a lot of strategy options there. Another thing that we did that you got to see a little bit of in the fan preview video is the stealth forests. And what we wanted to do is, the idea of cloaking and things like hiding information is a kind of a key thing in real-time strategy games. And what we decided to do is make a new type of forest patch that we can place down on maps strategically. And what it does is it lets you hide your troops. And so your line of sight crushes to almost nothing. And when you're in them, you can see out of them, though. So if you're near the borders, you can see out. So in the video, you'll see there's a sequence where the Mongols ambush the Chinese. And what they do is they move all of their troops into these stealth forests, and they can't be seen. And the other team didn't have a scout, and scouts can see into stealth forests now in order to counter that. So they have a use later in the game. But the thing I love is, we could have just made stealth forest and made your units look a little different, but no, they whisper. Yeah. So when you move your units into stealth forest, all your unit responses become whispers. So
I love that
because they're hiding.
Amazing
right?
attention to detail.
Yeah, the language changes. I mean, we've done so much. Every age you go through, this is something that hits people pretty hard when they experience it too. Sorry, you got me on all these crazy tangents.
No, I
language
love it.
Changes.
Tangent away.
So as you're going through the ages, the language will actually change. So if you're playing a civ like the English, when you start off in the Dark Age, they're speaking like in a language you can't really understand today. You're like, okay, I guess this is what they spoke. But as you go through the 4 ages in the game and you get up to the Castle Age at the end, they're speaking Old English, and you can actually understand them.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, so you get a language lesson as well.
A lot of research as well. Just on that one idea alone, the amount of man hours I imagine went into researching that was phenomenal.
It was. I know the Relic team. They put in a ton of effort and they did a ton of work on, because it's easy for us who speak English to be like, wow, English really evolved and we can see it. It's one of the newer right languages in some ways. But then we were sitting here going, okay, what's ancient Mongolian sound like? And did it evolve, right? And what do we do with that? And so it was a lot of fun, and it involved us talking to a lot of cultural experts from those actual cultures to really dive in and try to understand how the language went and how it evolved over time, so that we could make the right choices in representation and make sure we were doing it accurately. But it's been a blast.
I love that. I mean, that does really naturally bring me on to the next thing I wanted to know, which was during the preview, we also saw a behind the scenes look at Relic. And I was curious, if you could give us more information about what it is that World's Edge are bringing to Age 4, and also what it's like working with the RTS experts. Like, that must have been, bucket list for me. I can tell you that for a start.
Well, our job at World's Edge is to kind of be the caretakers and shepherds of the Age IP. And so what that means is we have a full staff of people that do game development, everything from, design like me, my background, to programming and artists and narrative and audio. And we contribute to every project that's being worked on at all of our studios. So, Age 1, 2, 3, Myth, Age 4, all of the things that we're doing, we're always in the mix on a day-to-day basis, guiding and making sure that the games are kind of going the way that we want for the overall franchise. And Relic, oh my gosh, Relic has been such an incredible partner. So full disclosure, when we first had the project and internally, we were talking about it, right? We were, hey, could we bring back Age? What would we do? And myself and a couple others came up with this kind of presentation for Phil and everyone about like, hey, this is what we would love to think about. This isn't a pitch for a game. It's like the things, right? And they're like, well, who do you want to work with? And we're like, well, Relic. Like
them, yeah.
That was like the conversation was literally, well, is there anyone else? We're like, yeah, there are others, but Relic is who we want to work with, and we would love to go. Can we have your permission to go and talk to them about this? And it was great. Relic brings so much to the table in terms of expertise for RTS games. And, they've been continually making them for over 20 years, which is incredible, right? I made RTS games for years back at Westwood Studios, but then I kind of went on to do other things, and be able to come back to it and be able to sit down with a team that understands real-time strategy games and immediately hit the ground running on what are we going to do? How does Age be great? How do we keep RTS, And we didn't have to have all these conversations like you would with a new developer on, well, this is what an RTS is like, and these are how they play, and let's learn. They were just like, oh yeah, got it. What do we do? How do we get this rolling? And they were off. And they've been great. What's been really fun is how much they value the Age IP in terms of making sure it's an Age game. I know that a lot of people will read, oh my gosh, it's going to feel more like Company of Heroes or like Dawn of War or something. And it's like, no, this is really an Age game. And the funny thing was there were times where even us at World's Edge would be like, no, you can go further. You can, let's explore what this could mean. And they're like, no, nope, this Age. Like, we're not going to do that.
I'm going to stop you there. This is not my age anymore.
Yeah. And it's great because having that kind of relationship is wonderful when, Relic has taken on so much ownership and pride in making an Age of Empires game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess this sort of naturally brings us to my final point, which, I mentioned earlier, this is for my own personal gain, this question, by the way. FYI, this has got nothing to do with Larry. I want to know more about that naval teaser. I mentioned before that I like to turtle myself in and hide. And I'm curious how the naval combat is going to shake things up for veteran players or, people who don't often fight on the sea.
Well, the funny thing is that when we were approaching, I'll give you some backstory here that actually I haven't said this to anyone yet, so this would be fun.
Scoop.
You get a scoop, yeah. One of the fun things is when we were going and looking at Age 4, we were looking at, we have data on all the other Age games and what people play and what they don't, and a lot of people don't play with naval in Age 2 specifically. Age 3, obviously they did a great job with naval and it's a big part of the game. But Age 2, a lot of people are like, kind of play on Dry Arabia and other maps, Black Forest, things like that don't feature water. And so we were having this big debate. Do we put in naval? Do we not? Do we focus on it later? Like have a big naval thing later? And what it came down to is that naval was so important to Age of Empires as a part of the game. And even if it had been like, well, the data says no one used it, it doesn't matter because it's such a component of Age of Empires that we weren't willing to just walk away from that and not do it. So what are we doing differently this time around? Well, the big thing that we've tried to do is bring more interesting tactical play into naval. In a lot of ways, and I'm not doing this. I know some people at the previous Age games will be like, oh, I can't believe you say this, but it feels naval can feel like tank battles on the water, right? They're just kind of like shoot.
Yeah.
And that's not to say it's not bad, but that it's to us, it felt like that could be more interesting. So the big scoop I will give you is the thinking that we've been doing around how to mix up naval is the difference between ore ships and sail ships and what that actually meant in terms of maneuverability and combat ability and all that kind of stuff. So that's the big difference that we're going to explore and kind of play with in Age 4 for naval combat. And hopefully that will be an interesting, impactful change for people. Naval is one of those things that we're still constantly tweaking and adjusting right now, even along with all the other stuff we have to do for the civs. So, but that's our goal, is to get it to a point where it feels like there's these really great tactical decisions you can make based on the types of ships that you're fielding.
I'll make a note then to not just use my port for fishing ships then.
No, although, yeah, they're really good for that too.
It's the easiest way. Whenever I pick a map, I pick somewhere that I know is going to be near a body of water. And because food is always an issue at the beginning to make sure you're building new people to go do stuff for you. Just fish a bunch. That'll do.
Yeah, well, actually, fish is the only deep water fishing is the only resource that renews itself in Age 4. So it's one of the things we've done to kind of push people to fish more and use more naval is that you have an unlimited food supply, right? You can still run it out, but it'll come back over time. So yeah, it's made the play very interesting, and people really do rush to try to secure the dock areas so that they can plop a dock down, get fish, but also drop food off. It's a food drop off for land too.
Yeah.
So if you can find Gaia and harvest, there's a whole bunch of things you could do. I'm giving away way too much.
You are, but I'm loving every single second. I'll stop you there, though. Thank you for giving me your time and your passion and your energy on this title,
Charlie.
not just on this call, but in general for this series. I cannot tell you how excited I and many, many players are about Age 4, and I'm looking forward to see what the rest of this year is, got lined up for us.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things leading up to launch. So stay tuned. We've got 4 more civs to talk about. We've got 3 more campaigns. A whole bunch of stuff, and game just gets crazier and crazier the more you know about it.
All right, great set of interview there, Charlie. Again, awesome interview with Adam. You were really, 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 really good there. I mean, I knew you were going to be great, but you were phenomenal. And what a I'm sorry, we had to leave that part at the beginning of the interview.
We absolutely had to. It was the moment of not only the daughter coming in, but then the dog trotting in. And if any eagle-eyed people notice, the dog stays in the background and has a full clean down, and I couldn't keep my eyes off him.
Sorry. I didn't know if you noticed that, but yeah, it was something, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. And yeah, like I said, to talk about Age with someone so influential, to my gaming childhood, it was an amazing opportunity. So Larry, just thank you, in general, thank you.
Of course. It's great to have you on the show. I mean, we've got actually a lot of interviews coming up, but also we've got some changes. We have a new next week. I'm gonna tease. We have somebody new joining the show on a permanent basis. I'll introduce her next week. I'm very excited about that. And Charlie, you are always welcome to come back on the show anytime you'd like. It's just a delight to have you in here.
Well, just let me know. I'm sat on the doorstep waiting to be let in.
Tell us, we talked about your podcast, the Women of UK or the Women of, is it the Women of Gaming? Let's give it the proper name, shall we?
It's the Women of Xbox UK podcast, which is slightly ironic, judging that only one person on it is from the UK, but it's because the UK team made it and we're talking to the world. Yeah,
so that's the way it goes. So I'll put a link to that in the show. Jeff and I will be back next week. I want to thank everybody who sent us, like, subscribe, drop a note in the comments, and do all that stuff. But, Charlie, will you come back? You come back on the show sometime in the future?
Absolutely. Literally, let me know. I will clear my schedule to do so, Larry.
I believe it's your diary.
Well, that too.
But anyway, all right, we'll let you go.
Ask me about diary or schedule wording. I just told you I'd do anything for you, and you're over there correcting me. I'm not coming back on. No.
Oh, flip it up. You're done. All right, my dear. Well, listen, stay safe over there in the UK, and I'm great. Congratulations on launching season 1 of the Women in Gaming Xbox UK podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of those interviews and all the great work that you're doing over there. And how do people actually, let me bring it up. I have the little button here. That's how people follow you on social right there.
That's the one. It's Charlie, though, with that ridiculous spelling. Any platform, that's me.
If you want to try to find it, I'll put it in the show notes as well. It's Charlie. There you go. So fine. All right, Charlie, we'll talk to you next time. Have a great time. And hopefully we'll see each other in person soon.
Fingers crossed, Larry. I'll do everything I can to make it happen.